Students. Our previous class video is by mistake and the voice is not recorded. So I am giving the same file again. Okay. So I will discuss with the destructor methods. In the previous class, we discussed the constructor methods. Okay, those methods are used to construct the object and initialize the variables within the class. Okay, so whatever the variables which are need to be initialized at the beginning of a creating of a object, okay, those you can do with the constructor method. And using the destructor method, we can specify the code which is to be executed while deleting the object. Okay, so in this we are creating a class as a party animal class, and x is the 0, is a variable within the class, and init is the method which is used as a constructor and which is preceded by the two underscore symbols and followed by two underscore symbols. Okay, and we are printing a method name, printing message as the am constructed. And here the destructor is specified with a special word as the del, which is a name used for the destructor, and which is preceded by the two underscores and followed by two underscores. And it also has a self as the default parameter. Here we are printing a message as I am destructed. Okay, I am destructed and self.x. Okay, it prints the x variable value in the uh, class. Okay, that is also the variable value which is at the time of destructing the object. Okay, that value is printed using the self.x. Okay, and now we are testing the class object by creating the object for the class. So in constructor, and we have a one method as the party, and within that we are incrementing the self.x variable, and we are printing the variable, and is a destructor which is used to display the value while destroying the object. Okay, now the object is created as the an as the object for the party animal of class, and now we are calling a method. Okay, and it calls the constructor method init method. Okay, so using this object you can call the constructor method which prints the I am constructed. Then we are calling a party method, okay, which calls the party method and increments the x variable and prints the value. And again we are calling a one more time the party method, okay, and which calls again the party method and increments the x value to the 2. Okay, then we are assigning the an equals to 42. Okay, this is nothing but we are changing the variable value, okay, from the class value to the normal integer variable. Okay, initially an variable is created as an object for the class party animal. Okay, but now we are specifying the an variable as a integer variable and which is assigned with the 42. Okay, that is nothing but whenever you are creating a variable in the Python. Okay, say for example, you are created a variable and assigned the value 10. And again, if you are using the same variable and assign the another value as 10.5. Okay, now the previous value is removed from the memory and the variable is also removed from the memory, and it creates a new variable as a float variable and assigns the value 10.5. As in the same way, here also it deletes a party animal class object from the variable and creates a new variable an as a integer variable. Okay, so that the an object is removed from the memory and integer variable is created, so that at this time it invokes the destructor of the class, that is it destroyed the object and it created a one new variable as the integer variable. So at this time it creates a it calls a destructor method and executes the destructor method code. Okay, so it executes the destructor method and shows the I am destructed, and it also shows the self.x variable value. Okay, the x variable value at this time is the we call the party method for 2 times, so the self.x value is 2. Okay, then we are printing the an contains an variable value. It shows the 42 as the an variable value. Okay, then we'll see the next reminder. Okay, and so next we'll go for the other topic. Okay, this is the destructor method. Okay, whenever we are destroying the object, we can use the destructor method to execute the code. And as the same way for the constructor, we can execute the code at the time of constructing the object. Okay, and this is the output for the example. First, it calls the constructor method. It shows the I am constructed, and then party method is called for 2 times, and it shows the 1 and 2. And then it calls the destructor method, okay, which shows the I am destructed and the value of the x as the 2. Okay, because party method is called for 2 times, so it shows the self dot x value as the 2. And contains a 42. Okay, because the AND variable is assigned with the 42 integer value, so it shows the 42 as the integer value for the AN variable. Okay, that is AN variable is destroyed, and then it is created as an integer variable. So it uses the integer value as the value for AN variable. Okay, and from the construction of the object to the destruction of the object, okay, we will call that as a lifetime of the object. Okay, object is constructed and executed. Okay, next we'll see the multiple instances. How to create the multiple instances for a class. Okay, that is whenever you are creating a class, okay, you can specify the different values using the different copies of the class. Okay, those we can call them as the multiple instances. Each instance of a class has the one copy of the variables of a class, and one copy of a methods of the class, and it has a different values for the variables in the class also. Okay, so multiple instances is nothing but multiple copies of the same class. Okay, so x in first copy it has a different value for the x, and for the name variable it has a different value for the name. Okay, and in the init method we have a one parameter is the self, and another parameter is to assign the name variable value. Okay, so that whenever you are constructing the object, you will be passed the name value for the name variable. Okay, that is assigned to the name variable of the class. Okay, and then it prints the name variable value, and it shows a uh, word as constructed. Okay, based on the whatever the object we have used to call the method, okay, that particular object's name variable value and constructed is displayed, and then we are creating a party method which increments the x variable value by 1, and it shows that x variable value, the name of the object and party count self x. Here we are creating a s variable as a s as the one instance of the class, okay, which is created with the name as Sally. Okay, here the Sally word is assigned as the value into the name variable. Okay, because we are passing this as a parameter to the constructor, so that is assigned to the name variable of the class. Okay, so now S is the one object, S is the one instance of the class which has a name as Sally. Okay, and then we are creating another variable J. Okay, and is also created for the same class party animal and name as the Jim. Okay, that is also calls the constructor and assigns the Jim as the name for the class name variable. Okay, and this it creates two instances like this. Okay, one instance is S, another instance is J. Okay, and S instance has the one X variable and a one name variable, and as the same way J also has X variable and name variable. Okay, X is assigned initially with the 0, and in the S instance the name variable value is Sally, and in the J instance X variable value is 0 and name variable value is Jim. Okay, so like this it creates two copies of the class. Okay, one as the S and another one as the J. Okay, that is two copies of memory is allocated for the class. Okay, and we are calling the we can call the different methods of the different instances using the one is the S dot party method, okay, which calls the party method of the S instance. Okay, because we have the different copies of our methods in the each instance, so it calls the S instances party method. So it executes the party method of the S instance and increments the S instances X variable by 1. Okay. Okay, now the X variable value of a S instance becomes the 0 plus 1. So that is the 1 in the value of X variable value of the S instance. It becomes the value 1. Okay. And it also calls the party method so that it shows the name as the Sally party count as 1. Okay, Sally is the name of the instance and party count 1. Then we are calling the J instances party method so that J instances X variable is incremented by 1. Okay, J instances X variable is incremented by 1. Okay, so that we have the value for J instance as the 1. So it shows the text as Jim party count is 1. Okay, and then again we are calling the Sally party method. Okay, Sally instance, the S instance is party method. So again it increments the X value to the 2. Okay. Okay, like this we can create the different instances for the same class, and we can store the different values in the different instances. Okay, so that these values are updated based on the instances and based on the we are calling a methods. And it shows the output of this as Sally is constructed, Sally party count as 1, and Jim is constructed and Jim party count is 1. Again Sally is invoked once again so that we have party count 2. Okay, like this we have the different instances with the different values. Okay, we can increment them and we can modify the values. Okay, two times the instance is constructed. Next we'll go for the concept is data encapsulation. Data encapsulation, we can also call this as the data hiding. That is hiding of a data from the unauthorized classes or unauthorized users of the program, or we can also call it as the outside of the class, okay, which cannot access the or data members of the class. Okay, that we can call it as the data hiding. Okay, so using this data hiding, we can provide the accessibility based security to the data. Okay, so here in the Python it uses the notation for the these access data encapsulation. Okay, so other language supports the different keywords like public, protected and private. Okay, but in the Python it uses the different notation for the each and every variable. Okay, if the variable is a public variable, okay, then we have a variable name without any followed by symbols or preceded by symbols. Okay, there is only variable name without any symbols underscore without any underscore symbols. Okay, then that variable is called as a private variable, and it can be accessed within the inside the class and outside the class, and there is no limit for the this name variable. Okay, the public variables it doesn't have any limitations. Okay, and if you are creating a protected variable, okay, this is preceded by a single underscore symbol and then the variable name. Okay, these variables are like public variables, okay, but they don't try directly accessed from outside. Okay, that is we need to access using the instance of the class. We cannot directly access using the instance. We can access the pub, protected member. Okay, and if it is a private member, we need to give the two underscore symbols preceded by the variable name, and it cannot be accessed outside of the class. That is, these variables are not visible to the outside of a class. Okay, this is the example for the data encapsulation.